So, how did I make the decision about where to go work after college? This is a really important question to me because it gives me an opportunity to explain an exercise that I actually didn't learn about until after I graduated. So, I'm not going to tell you exactly that I use this framework and this decision making tool when I was in school. In fact, the reality of it is, when I was applying for jobs, I was looking at both industry and consulting jobs. And I just went with the people that I liked the most. And that is not necessarily going to be the right way to decide for everybody. But you may think, well, shouldn't we all want to like the people we work with? And I would actually say not necessarily, right? Because depending on where you're moving to and how many friends you have in that city and kind of what your goals are professionally, you may not care if you are best friends with every person you work with. That doesn't mean that you're willing to work with people you hate, but you might be willing to give up, working with people that are a lot within your peer group or have the same hobbies as you, if it gives you the opportunity to have other things that you care about, such as compensation and pay, or maybe learning and development, or challenging work, or more work-life balance. So what I'm going to explain is that I actually got lucky and I chose based on people, and that turned out to be a thing that actually did matter to me. I didn't actually sit down and go, what matters to me? And that's what I'm going to urge you all to do, is to think about what it is that you care about. And I'll actually explain to you there's a great way to do that, and it's called the driver's exercise. So if you go to driversexercise.com, this is an exercise I actually put online. You can take this exercise and it walks you through kind of the 8 parts of a career that you can value. And it basically challenges you to pick the top 4 of those 8 that you care about and rank them from 1 to 4 and use that assessment to kind of make your decision. Because you may find that there's a company that has great compensation and pay, but it doesn't have the exact kind of work you want to do. There might be a company that has a really well-known brand, but they don't pay as much. So what I see is a lot of students struggle with having all these options, or they have too many things to consider, and they start going, well, should I go to work for the company that's not well-known but pays more, or the one that pays okay but is more well-known, but I don't know what kind of work I want to do there? And so there of these 8 things that you can care about, they're all listed on the driver's exercise. They include things such as work-life balance, compensation and pay, your people and the culture you work with, your personal development and your growth, and you may think, well, all these things are important. There's going to be a point in time where you may not care about personal growth and development. You may have worked your tail off and just gotten promoted. That might be the point where you're like, you know what, maybe I need to take a break from growth and just focus on doing my new job, And so again, point being is that there is no right answer to what to value. In fact, the worst thing you could do is go and value what you think you're supposed to value because someone else valued it. So go check out driversexercise.com and look through that, and you'll see kind of the whole framework. I walk through the whole thing. Turns out later on, so after I did this whole framework, when I was making my decision, I was moving to Dallas, Texas, and I had no friends in Dallas that I knew of. And so I had no network of friends. I didn't know anybody, and I was already traveling my first few weeks in. So I really wasn't there except for, Saturdays and Sundays. And so that made it hard to kind of meet up with friends or make new friends. So essentially, my work friends, my people I worked with became my network of friends. So I didn't realize at the time that people were going to be so important to me, but it turned out that was why I decided, and that was important to me, and it worked out really well. Now I'm in a job where I don't actually have to work directly with a lot of the people. Like, I'm a teacher, I work in my classroom, but I don't actually have to work with every other teacher, which means it's not critical that I like every teacher I work with. Not to say that I don't, but it's a different part of my job now. It was much more important to me back when I was doing consulting work. So anyway, go check out driversexercise.com. One other piece of advice I'll give you is that don't expect to get the perfect job. Find the perfect job for you, right? Because when I say that there is no perfect job in the sense that there is no job that will pay you $1 million a year, give you 3 months of vacation, challenge you every day, and it allows you to work with people that you absolutely love, that is not a job that exists. Now, there is a job out there that can give you maybe the top 2 or 3 things that you care about. And honestly, that's what it really matters. It comes down to looking for the job that has every single driver that you care about. May be something that's a tall order. So just focus on picking your top 3 things or your top 4 things and finding the job that provides at least your number 1 and 2 things you care about. Not that you're going to be miserable, but like that you could get those 2 or 3 things. I would strongly urge you to focus on knowing yourself, knowing what that is, having that emotional intelligence, and picking based on those things, rather than going and picking on the things that you think you're supposed to care about, like, well, money's important, or work-life balance is important, whatever. You'll find that some of you don't. I think when I've done this math on this and we've done the studies, I would say about 70% of students don't care about work-life balance as their number 1 thing, and they're willing to have less of that. And compensation pay, only about 18% of students put that as their number 1. And that doesn't mean they're all greedy. It just means that, hey, maybe they have loans to pay back and things like that. So again, don't care about the things you think people want you to care about. Care about the things you care about. Once you know what those are, it makes your job hunt a lot easier.